continuing with our quick breads. We're going to make Irish soda bread. And Irish soda bread is leavened with baking soda instead of baking powder. These are two of the major chemical leaveners, or the things that the ingredients that make things rise. And the reason that we're using baking soda instead of baking powder is that we're using soured milk. Some recipes call for buttermilk, and in fact sometimes you don't have buttermilk at home or wherever you are, even in your commercial kitchen, and so you can make soured milk by substituting a ½ ounce of white vinegar for every 7½ ounces of milk that you use. So in fact we have a pound, we're using 16 ounces, a pound of milk, and what we've done is subtracted 1 ounce from that, so it's actually 15 ounces of milk and 1 ounce of vinegar, creating our pound of buttermilk or soured milk. So you just let that sit in the refrigerator if you're not doing it right away, because the ingredients that we're adding today have to be cold. Again, we're doing the biscuit method. So we have our cold buttermilk, and we have our beaten egg, and we're not going to add the beaten egg to the buttermilk right away because the vinegar will then help coagulate the egg. The egg is made out of protein, and we don't want that egg to quote-unquote cook in here, so we're going to do that just when we need it. So what we have again is 1 pound 6 ounces of all-purpose flour. We have 3 ounces of sugar. We have a ½ ounce of brown sugar, which isn't necessarily a usual ingredient in Irish soda bread, but we're adding a little depth here. And we're adding 1 1/4 teaspoon of our baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. Now, once you're adding the brown sugar has a little bit of moisture to it, and our baking soda works as soon as it's exposed to moisture. So what you want to do is mix this and then just keep going, because if you make this ahead of time, we're going to start using the action of the baking soda, and then the bread won't rise as much. So we want this to be a huge loaf when we're done. So what I'm going to do is use my hands to mix this and crush the brown sugar so it mixes. Sometimes, depending on where you're living, the brown sugar will get hard, and so you want to make sure that you don't have any hard lumps in here, and this is one way of doing it with your hands. There's not a whole lot of brown sugar in here, but we just want to make sure that it's well mixed, as well as the mixed into the ingredients with the flour, and so there's quite a bit of flour compared. Now again, I've used my scale to measure these ingredients rather than volume, so the recipes that I include with my lectures and videos are always in ounces and pounds rather than cups. So we're going good here. This takes a bit of time, but we're good. And now we're going to use the biscuit method, which is what you do for scones as well. And I'm going to cut in the cold butter. Now notice the butter here has been cut into small cubes first, and that helps. You want to start off with fat, in this case, that are equal shapes, so that it cuts in evenly. So we're going to do this for a bit. And again, you don't have very much butter in here, and again, this is the advantage of using this pastry blender with the long wires, because you have a little bit of food that gets on there, kind of cakes on there, but it's real easy to clean, and it doesn't get all up in near the handle. So I like this style, and I'm turning the bowl, so I've become a human machine here, mixer, and I just want to keep this doing it. So I don't keep doing it in one spot like this. We want to do it evenly. The idea is we're doing the turning of the bowl to create an even mixture, and we want small bits of butter coated with flour, and we want these to be a little smaller. We want this to be somewhat mealy, so we're doing this. And you don't want to, some people use their fingers to cut in the butter, but some people's body temperature runs hotter than others, and sometimes they melt the butter. So this way, consistency is one of the things that we want. So in this case, I think using a pastry blender works well. Okay, now we have the butter. You really can't see that anymore. You feel it a little bit, but you can't see it, and so that means we're done. The next thing is we're going to add 6 ounces of raisins. And again, we'll just mix this in. The raisins are stuck together. You can feel that, and you can take them apart. All right, and then we're going to use the well method, just like normally when we do the biscuit method. We'll get this ready. Okay, and now we're safe because we're going to do this right away. We take our cold egg and we put that in. Make sure we get all the egg. We take a fork and mix that up. We put this right in here. All right. And again, we're going to go to the outside and to the inside, turning the bowl, big strokes. And right away, you can hear the bubbles forming. There's a little noise that happens, and that's because the baking soda is being exposed to the water. So you can even feel the mixture getting a little lighter because, again, baking soda works right away. Okay. All right. Okay. Interesting. Now we're going to knead this 12 to 15 times. We're going to need our bench scraper, some extra flour. You can see this is fairly moist, so we're going to be generous at this point. We just need our little bowl scraper. And you can see even the bubbles. This is very different than if you use baking powder. Baking powder would not react this way so soon. It needs heat. So this is creating carbon dioxide, which causes the expansion. Okay. Now I'm going to flour my hands as well as using the bench scraper here. And we're going to start kneading. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to sprinkle a little more. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're going to scrape this up. 10. Okay, now, after 10, I'm able to handle it with my hands. 10, and we're going to knead. 11, 12, so it's a pull-push. 13, we're going to scrape, keep the board clean. 13, 14, 15. Okay, and then we're going to round this up into, I'm pushing in here, trying to make this a nice tall ball. Okay, and again I'm going to use the flour to clean my hands, and we're going to put it in the oven. By the way, is preheated to 420. And I just wanted to emphasize that I found out that my stove is 5 degrees too high using an oven thermometer. And so for those of you that don't have that issue, you then bake it at a 425 degree oven. This is a double pan of double sheet pan. And what we're going to do is do that and create a thicker area here, a thicker gauge of metal, so that this is going to bake at high temperature for a while and we don't want it to burn. So then I put parchment paper here, this in the middle. Okay, and we're going to take and brush this with egg white all around And the egg white is for shine, and we're also going to put some flour on top, and so the egg white adds as kind of a glue so the flour stays on there. And it also helps with the shine and the browning just a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add just a touch of flour. We'll put this in our strainer here, and just rather than shaking this, you just use your other hand and just kind of do that so you can control the amount of flour so you don't get big lumps and piles of flour there. We're going to flour our knife, and we're going to cut this about a ½ inch into an X, because we have a lot of moist dough and we want to allow this to rise. And so if we didn't do that, it would not bake in the middle. So this is going to allow it to expand. So now we're going to put this into a 425, or in my case a 420 degree oven for approximately 35 minutes. Take a look at it, and then I'm going to take the temperature of the internal temperature, which we want to be about 200. So at that time it won't be 200. I'm going to use my dough thermometer, and then we're going to turn the temperature. We're going to turn the pan and turn it to 370, 375 for you, 370 for me, and bake it for another approximately 15 to 20 minutes. It depends then when the internal temperature is 200. So again, ovens are different. So you're going to get to know your oven by taking the temperature of the items that you're baking in it. Okay, so we're going to put this in the oven. I am now just turning down the oven to 370, and if you look in the oven here, it looks like it's done. But when I take the temperature of this, it's way not 200 degrees, and when you take this out, there's dough on the end of the thermometer, so it's definitely not done yet. Okay, now it's time to check to see that our bread is done. We'll do it in a couple of spots. We want it in the 190s, which it appears to be. Let's check it in another spot here to make sure. So we're ready to take this out of the oven. So now we're sort of decorating up our finished Irish soda bread. Now you can see the 4 peaks. This is what happens when I slit and made the X in the top of the uncooked dough. If I hadn't have done that, it would not have baked properly in the middle. So it has expanded, with the heat. Now this is crusty, kind of rustic, and when you slice this bread, it is moist on the inside and crusty on the outside. And it's not too sweet, and it's not completely savory either. So this makes a delicious sandwich bread. Butter it and have it with, you can toast it or just eat it untoasted with butter. Drink milk, drink Irish cream when you're coffee, just tea or whatever. And you can have it with soup. It's absolutely delicious. And the addition of brown sugar makes it a little bit different than all of the other Irish soda breads that I've tasted in my lifetime. So I think you'll enjoy it.